Good morning everybody and welcome to a new video. Today I want to dedicate a video specifically to people that are going through a rough time right now. I know it's February, it's winter in most places, and I can tell that the cold and the lack of sunshine has a huge effect on a lot of people. So I felt like this could be a good video to give you guys a little bit of a boost, maybe some inspiration or some energy, and to keep on having a positive mindset. Now, me personally, I was first introduced to feelings of depression and anxiety around the age of 13, 14 years old, I want to say. And I mean, back then I would go on these horrible emo binges where I would just feel like really bad for a really long time. And I never really figured out like how to fix that. Like, I used to read self-help books, I even tried counseling. A lot of it was also alcohol induced. Like, when I was a teenager, in my culture, in the Belgian culture, it's pretty normal to get really drunk every weekend, preferably Friday and Saturday. So basically Sunday and Monday and Tuesday I would feel like a total mess, and I would question everything, and namely myself. Now, I want to tell you guys, the older I've gotten, the better it's gotten. The older you get, the less you're going to care about what people perceive you as, and the more you are going to be the person that you actually are. It wasn't until 25 that I finally understood who I really was as a person, and that I didn't have to be a loudmouth clown to get appreciation or get my friends to accept me. Like, up until the age of 25, you are basically who everyone around you wants you to be. And what I mean by that is, especially if you're like me and you grew up in a small town, aka village, you're gonna have a lot of social control, and you're gonna have your environment dictate how you should dress, what you should listen to, how you should act. And I feel like for that reason alone, every single person watching this that's below 25 should at least try to go and live in the city for 1 year, just so you can experience that feeling of being anonymous, not having that social control, not having people looking at you that you know from 20 years ago. Because this is a fact, guys, the people that you grew up with, even though they might be your best friends and they know you the best, they're also gonna judge you the hardest. And I can tell from experience, like, this is a very, very real thing. And even now, when I go back home to Belgium, when I hang around certain people, I still catch myself slipping back into this autopilot persona that I used to have before I came to Barcelona, just because it's easier, to fit in my local community back home. And I do feel like I'm getting better and better at, just being myself overall. And the funny thing is, I've gotten the critique before from friends back home who have watched some of my videos, and they love, like, when I made the videos, especially my earlier videos where I was just basically lifestyle vlogging, and when I was really heavy into the big boy Benzo persona, they feel like that's me. And then when I made a few more serious videos talking about some emotions and feelings, they were really caught off guard by that. Like, they didn't see that coming. They didn't even know that side of me existed, and they even questioned me for being authentic when I was making that video. And the irony of it all is that that's actually, when I look at those videos, like, that's who I feel I am. Like, that's when I feel like I'm at my most honest. Whereas when I look at the lifestyle vlog videos where I'm just basically, trying to be social and make small talk and make my life look really cool, I feel like I revert back into my very safe, stereotypical persona that I kind of used to put up a shell. So I just want to tell you guys, the older you get, the more you're going to realize who you are as a person, and the easier it's going to get. Like, I was first introduced to feelings of anxiety and depression around the age of 13, and at that time I would go on these terrible depression binges where I would just feel bad for weeks and weeks, and I would wonder, like, is this ever gonna change? Like, am I always gonna feel this bad if I get triggered? For example, an extremely drunk night, where you do some dumb stuff, you get into a fight, or a breakup, or a rejection, or a failure at school with exams, things like this. And I can honestly tell you, like, it's only going to get better. Every single year that I get older, I kind of feel like I am in more and more control of my emotions and the things that I feel. And I'm only 29, so I can't wait for the next 10 years and the self-security I'm going to obtain in those next 10 years. And I really encourage you guys to do the same thing. So let's talk about some specific examples. For example, you got extremely drunk last weekend, you blacked out, you no longer remember what you did, you may have offended some people, done some crazy stuff, and now you're sitting at home thinking the whole world hates you, thinking all your friends hate you, thinking that, you basically messed up your entire social life. Think about this, guys. It's never as bad as it seems in your mind. We have a tendency to really exaggerate our own flaws while at the same time ignoring most of other people's flaws. And 9 times out of 10, no one really cared about the things you did or said because they saw that you obviously were drunk. Think about it. When have you ever been truly mad at someone that has done something messed up or said something messed up when they were drunk? Exactly, almost never, because you realize that they're drunk, so it's no big deal. And the reason I like to use that example is because I feel that a lot of people after a weekend feel like they have to go in hiding, feel like they have to make resolutions and better themselves. But in reality, just accept the fact that it's never as bad as you thought it was. Move on from it, try to learn from it a little bit, and try not to make the same mistake again. But if you do make the same mistake again, it means that you haven't made that mistake enough yet. So don't worry about it. It's not that big of a deal. You haven't fully learned your lesson. The consequences has never been serious enough for you to change if you keep on making the same mistakes. The more experience you're going to get, the more you're going to be able to put everything in this proper context. It's never as bad as it seems, and we tend to judge ourselves the harshest. No one else looks at us in the same negative manner as we do. It's all in our head, and the sooner that we understand that, and the sooner that we learn to take control of our own context, we can do so much better. Now I want to give you guys some practical advice when you're going through a rough time and when you're feeling really down on yourself. We don't always have to make progression. Not every day has to be a win. We have to learn how to accept a tie. Instead of taking a loss, make it a tie. If you're going through some really bad times, if you're really down on yourself, you're feeling depressed and anxious, just try to hang on. Don't be too focused on making progression and bettering yourself and growing as a person every single day, because this will actually have a counterproductive effect. You will cripple yourself by your constant need for progression and growth if we become too focused on making every day a win, in achieving something every single day. We will achieve the exact opposite. It is not realistic for you, or anybody for that matter, to take 2 steps forward every single day. Sometimes we have to take 1 step, 2 steps, or even 3 steps back, just to kind of, regroup and reassess our life and our situation. Not every day has to be a victory. We have to sometimes be happy with a tie, even a loss. Like, that's not a big deal. Just keep the big picture in mind. Are you moving forward long term? Yes or no? This is the only thing that matters. Don't judge yourself by what you've done in a day or a week. Look at what you've accomplished in a month, 2 months, 6 months, and learn to be patient with yourself. I know in today's climate, we are so focused on booking constant progression, but in a lot of people's cases, it has the opposite effect. With me as well. I feel so good about myself, and I'm so happy and proud every time I put out a new video. But then all the days that I should put out a video and I don't put one out, I get down on myself, I start thinking gloomily, I started becoming frustrated with myself, and it doesn't do anything positive. Sometimes you have to learn to take it slow, regroup, and come back stronger the next week. Not every day has to be a win, but I can tell you guys one thing: if you keep the bigger picture in mind, it will get better. In the long run, it will get better, I guarantee you. The older you get, the more you will be able to put things in the context, and the more you'll be able to actually separate your feelings from reality. It's most of the times, it's not as bad as we make it out to be. Now this is the one thing I want you guys to take away from this video. It's not always necessary to move ahead. Sometimes it's okay to just make camp, regroup, and be at a standstill for a few days or even a few weeks. Just remember, not every day has to be a win. We can also accept a tie or even a loss.